The conversation around Nigeria's digital future took center stage in Abuja as stakeholders gathered for the closing ceremony of the International Conference on Theory and Practice of Electronic Governance, Icegov 2025, a global conference dedicated to advancing electronic governance through innovation and policy research. The four-day event brought together experts, policymakers, and tech leaders to explore how digital solutions can transform governance and service delivery across Africa. Correspondent reports on the outcomes and Nigeria's next steps in building a resilient digital economy.
At the closing ceremony of the International Conference on Theory and Practice of Electronic Governance, Icegov 2025 in Abuja, stakeholders unveiled key outcomes from the four-day event, which focused on strengthening Nigeria's digital ecosystem and advancing Africa's digital governance landscape through research, innovation, and policy collaboration.
The most important impact is connecting the researchers from Nigeria with researchers from other countries in the global north and in the global south. We see so far, little collaboration between countries in Africa on digital government research. I very much hope that Icegov can be a contributing event to changing this state of affairs.
Levels of impact, one of them is the community that was here and that I believe is strengthened now with all these days of activities and networking. This is definitely, in my perspective, one of the impacts, and that will have in itself impact in other issues. The other impact is also all the information exchanged about the latest development in the area of digital governance, the frameworks, the policies, also the discussion about the challenges and about the opportunities that the digital technology brings certainly to Nigeria.
Speaking on the sidelines of the event, Ojo Adeboyega commended the government for providing a platform that fosters dialogue between researchers, innovators, and policymakers to drive digital transformation.
Well, so I think that the first thing is that the government is providing a platform for dialogue regarding how technology can be used to improve the way government works in general, whether it's really about the way they work internally or the way they develop their policies, the way they provide services to the public. So providing that opportunity for Icegov to be hosted in Nigeria, brings the conversation to this country, and also indicating our readiness to be part of that global discourse on the use of technologies, particularly emerging technologies like things like AI, in transforming the way government works. So my hope is that the government does not only provide that platform, but it's also able to benefit from some of the ideas that we discussed and look at ways of implementing some of those ideas, of course, within the realities of our own country, Nigeria.
Also speaking, Lukman Lamid, Special Advisor to the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, on innovation and research, emphasized that one of the federal government's priorities is to enhance governance through efficient service delivery enabled by innovation and digitalization. Lamid noted that the conference serves as a platform to generate research-based insights and recommendations for Nigeria and other developing nations, aimed at shaping the future of digital governance globally.
We expect that at the end of this conference, some of the recommendations and best practices that have been talked about here are going to be put together to be a framework for us to develop our digital economy in Nigeria. It's also boiled down into implementation of some of those recommendations. So we at NIDA, we're going to try our best to ensure that we implement some of those recommendations, some of those best practices. And as you see, we have seen some of the best paper in this series. So some of these best paper are going to be taken into consideration and see how we can take advantage of some of the proposition in those papers to, translate them into what? Impact.
Stakeholders hope that the recommendations presented during the conference will be consolidated into a strategic framework to strengthen Nigeria's digital economy and promote inclusive, technology-driven development across Africa. Victoria Ayoride, reporting for Captain TV.